It's the real news. I'm Aaron Mete. Last week, 16-year-old Ahed Tamimi was arrested by Israeli forces at her home in the occupied West Bank, joining hundreds of Palestinian children arrested by Israeli forces each year. Ahed was seized just days after a video went viral of her confronting an Israeli soldier. Just minutes earlier, Israeli forces had shot Ahed's 14-year-old cousin at close range in the face, leaving him in a coma. On Monday, an Israeli court ordered Ahed, her cousin, and her mother, who was arrested when she came to visit Ahed, to remain behind bars for at least 4 more days. Bassem Tamimi is Ahed's father and a longtime Palestinian activist. He joins me now. Welcome, Bassem. For those who aren't familiar with your daughter's story, can you explain to us what happened last week when she was arrested?
Thank you for giving me the opportunity to call the voice of Palestine to our friends and our people there. And I highly appreciated that. Last week, after the video that you talk about, around 3-4 morning, 19 of the December, we wake up between 3-4 morning, knocked on the door, sun grenade, tear gas, soldier shouting, and I opened the door. They was very angry and nervous soldiers and border police. They entered the home and they told me to bring all the family in the living room. I ask them to come. I wake them up, the children. Then they told me that Ahed is, and they come to arrest Ahed. Hello, you hear me?
We can hear you, yes.
Hello?
Yes.
I asked them. I had to change her clothes to wear something warm. They don't allow her mother to go with her to the room. They took her by two female soldiers, and she wear her clothes, and they took her back outside. In the first 3-4 minutes, Ahed was handcuffed and outside the home. Then they started searching in the house, everything upside down. They took our computer, laptop, cameras, USB, any electronic devices, and then they took our phones. My son Muhammad, 14 years old, he refused to give them the phone. 6 soldiers was on him. By force, they took the phone. And after that, they in around 40 minutes, they go out. We follow. We found around 10, 11 Israeli military vessels, and we call for Ahed. We shout. She responded from one of these jeeps. And she said, yes, I am here, I am fine, I will keep silent, don't worry. Morning, my wife went to the police station, as they told us, to be with her in the investigation, and with the lawyer. Then they stopped Nariman and put her in the investigation, and they took her to jail. The second day, the second night, they came and raided my cousin Naji, my brother Naji, and they took and they arrest her daughter, 20 years old, Noor, and they took her to the investigation. We asked for a court for to release them. They refused, and they detained them until last Monday. During these days, Ahed and Nariman and Noor was in in the same jail but in different section. Nariman and Noor in a small, dirty, without anything for life, cell, broken windows, and it's very cold. And they isolated in among a section, in the section full of Israeli criminal female prisoners, not in the same room, but around them the rooms are for these criminal prisoners. They took Ahed to another jails for investigation. They isolate her in one cell with controlled by and monitored by cameras all the time. Then they want to make her weak and to force her to speak. She refused to tell them her name because she don't accept the authority of these police officer and in the investigation. And Ahed keep silent and challenge them in this way. We went to the court. They refused to give them a decision for release. They give them another detained for another few days. Tomorrow it's the detained days. They postponed the court too. We will see what will happen. We don't trust this court because it's part of the component of the occupation. It comes to help the occupation to how to punish the Palestinian. It's not for justice. It's for injustice.
Bassem, so just to recap, because we're speaking to you by phone, so just in case anybody had a hard time hearing. So after they arrested your daughter, your 16-year-old daughter, then when your wife, Nariman, went to go visit her in jail, they arrested her, and they since raided and arrested her 21-year-old cousin, Noor. So before we get into more of what is happening now, can we just go back to that video that went viral across the world? Where your daughter is seen confronting Israeli soldiers who are in your village in the occupied West Bank. What was happening there?
What's happening there? It's if you see the soldier, they are just two soldiers. Yes, and it's not common sense that two soldiers without. Where is the other group of soldiers? Every group is five soldier or six soldier moving together. But why these two soldiers are coming alone? Firstly, all the clashes is around our home. All the time there are shooting. Before 2-3 days of this event, the soldier shot my son in his leg, and they injured him. The second day, they shot him in his hand, and they broke his hand. Before the moment that Ahed push the soldier out of our home, these two soldiers are coming from the place where our cousin Muhammad shot in his head, in his face, by a rubber bullet, and he is in a bad situation, and he was in coma.
And so this is Ahed's 14-year-old cousin. This is Ahed's 14-year-old cousin, who just before that video of Ahed slapping the soldier in the face, he was shot in the face with a rubber-coated bullet.
Yes, a steel-coated bullet. This soldier, after we heard that he was shot, and the people said that he he killed. I think this is the same soldier who shot him, because he was coming from the back of my home. He jumped from the wall, and he coming alone with the other soldiers without their groups. He comes from the same place that this boy was shot, and we believe that this soldier, he is the same soldier who shot our cousin. And if you follow the video, you see that he is not a moral soldier or officer. He was shocked. If you see his response, his response, because he is shocked, because he see the small child zero distance in front of him with his blood, and he come to hide and to shoot another people to hide in our home, and the other soldier was shooting tear gas, rubber bullet, and live ammunition to the other people. In this situation, what we want us to do? To give a rose for these soldiers and make tea for them, to use our home to kill the people. It's common sense. But you know, the Israeli society is a sick society. They don't like their soldiers to appear like this. To appear, they want their soldiers to appear how they kill the children, how they shoot the people, how they murdered the people, how their settler burned the people in their homes. This is the image that they like, and this image they don't like. For that, they want to punish Ahed. If this video show that their soldier is a moral and a polite and a very kind soldier, and this give them that their image in the world become good. Why they arrest Ahed? Why?
Bassem, speaking of the Israeli response, let me get you to respond to some of what we've heard from prominent Israelis about Ahed's arrest. The education minister of Israel, Naftali Bennett, said she should finish her life in prison. And
Yes.
a prominent Israeli columnist, Ben Caspit, he wrote in the newspaper Ma'ariv that, quote, in the case of the girls, we should exact a price at some other opportunity in the dark without witnesses and cameras.
Yeah. Yeah.
What's your reaction? What's your reaction to hearing that? They're speaking about your daughter.
I don't. And it's a normal reaction because they come from the mentality, the belief, the thought, the value of this society. This is the value. This is the same society who create and produce these settlers who burn the Wabshi family in their home. This system is the same system, and this is the same regime that create and produce these soldiers and Air Force who shoot and kill children in Gaza. This is the normal issue that we heard from this sick people like Bennett or Ben Kespi or all of these people, and I don't know how which peace you can gain if you negotiate these people and this regime and this society, because if they respond to the small child like this, what they will do, if we will cheat ourselves if we feel that we can gain anything from the negotiation of this government or this regime.
Bassem, finally, let me ask you, you're no stranger to protest. You've been organizing for years against the theft of Palestinian land in your village by Israeli settlers, and also of the local water resources by Israeli settlers. But I'm wondering, what was it like for you seeing your 16-year-old daughter standing there in an Israeli military court? What was that like for you?
It's hard. I can't talk with her. They surrounded her to make a wall between me and her, not to see her. The people in all, after the media take photo and they show the photos and the video, they saw the face of my daughter before me. It's not I know that it's a very bad situation inside the prison. I know the situation there. I am worried. I am is worry about what will happen with her in the hands of these terrorist, extremely terrorist people. I worry because my sister killed inside an Israeli military court like this court in 1993. I am worried about my family, my daughter, my cousin, my niece, my wife, everyone who come to this court. I all the time become very angry, nervous, stressed because I told you my memory will shine and wake up to the time they kill my sister and I inside the military court like this. I don't trust this court. I don't believe there is if there is any kind of justice under occupation. But I believe my daughter, my wife, and my niece and is very strong, and they can be safe by their self confidence and by their challenge in front of these extremely regime. And we believe that at the end we will continue struggle, but at the end the occupation will fail, and we can't keep silent under occupation. Our duty and responsibility to resist. And Ahed is an example for her generation, and she will continue leading this generation and give them the example and the way to resist until we have our freedom and have our rights and have the opportunity to participate with all the freedom fighter in the world to build the civilization with peace, justice, and freedom for everyone in this world.
And Bassem, if I can just tell you that, it's that strength that you describe in your daughter and the rest of your family that has inspired people all around the world. And so we thank you. And we thank you for joining us today. Bassem Tamimi.
Thank you.
Bassem Tamimi, the father of Ahed Tamimi. Ahed and her mother and cousin are still in Israeli military prison. Bassem Tamimi is a longtime Palestinian activist. Thank you, sir. And thank you for joining us on The Real News.